everybody, Monty here for Thrive Life, and today I just want to go over a couple of basic things about the Thrive freeze-dried foods. So first of all, most of you have already seen the video, Fresher Than Fresh, but if you haven't, one of the most important things with our produce is that it's picked when it's ripe, and it's the right color, it actually has flavor, it actually has nutrition. And if you talk to a botanist or a farmer that knows, they'll tell you that most of the nutrition, the nutrients, and the flavor goes into the plant those last couple of weeks right before it's harvested. And we pick it when it's ripe, and within a couple hours it's frozen, and it's flash frozen. And then we use a freeze dryer to vacuum out the moisture, and we seal it in the can so there's no air, there's no water, and that gives it a long shelf life. Traditional produce is picked, it's the wrong color. It's green, it's rock hard. It hasn't had that last couple of weeks of nutrition and flavor added to it. So they do that so that they can ship it long distances over several weeks, and right before it gets to the grocery store they spray it with a gas that changes the color and actually speeds up the aging process, and that's why when you get it home it goes bad pretty quickly. So what we're going to do for the rest of this video is just show you a couple of things. What do you do with the freeze-dried corn? What do you do with the freeze-dried peas? How do you use it in cooking? Sort of get you introduced to it. Okay? So you go over to the shelf and grab something. We're going to pick, let's see, mushrooms. Let's go with some Thrive mushrooms. And these Thrive mushrooms, you just get some water boiling and just throw some mushrooms in the water. And if you're doing a serving, you want a full cup of mushrooms or a quarter cup or 6 cups. It depends on obviously how many people you're feeding and what your recipe is. If you have a recipe that calls for mushrooms, you can just throw it into the mix. You don't have to go through this refreshing or hydrating step. But for this video, I'm just showing you the basics of cooking mushrooms. So we just threw in the mushrooms with enough water to cover it. And we move them around to make sure it's thoroughly wet. If it's dry on one side, then you want to make sure you flip it over. I've got it on high heat. I've got the water boiling. Should take about 2 minutes. You could go for about 30 seconds if you want, just to start refreshing. And then you can, from that point, you can just eat it straight. You can add some Chef's Choice seasoning. You can throw in some butter after. You can throw in some olive oil. I like to use my quick mushroom cooking technique I learned in high school. And that's just to throw in your favorite Italian dressing, because it has Italian seasoning and it has oil in it and vinegar. And so that's the simple way to saute the mushrooms. I'm shaking up my favorite Italian dressing. And you just throw in a little bit, probably about a teaspoon for this amount of mushrooms. And that water will continue to evaporate, continue to refresh the mushrooms and cook and bring out that flavor. So the water will evaporate, the mushrooms will refresh, and that oil is going to give the mushrooms a chance to have that sauteed, caramelized texture, caramelized flavor that I really like in mushrooms. And if you like the steamed mushroom effect or just raw mushrooms, you can do raw mushrooms just by soaking them in water for about 20 minutes. You want to shake it or stir and then drain off the extra. I would reserve that liquid for a soup base later. But if you're just trying to put some mushrooms in a salad, then you can just do it with cold water. It takes about 20 minutes, or you can do it overnight in the refrigerator. Here, less than 5 minutes. We've got the simple sauteed mushrooms. We started out with freeze-dried mushrooms right out of the can, dry. Threw in some water. We water sauteed them and then added the Italian dressing. And you can see they're starting to get that golden brown look. And I can smell the caramelization. And the slam cooking technique is high heat. Keep it moving. So these mushrooms are ready to plate up. So we've got the Thrive mushrooms. This is Monty Reed for the basics on how to cook freeze-dried mushrooms from Thrive Life. And of course, you got to taste them. Oh man, those are amazing. You got to try this. Try this. Try refreshing these mushrooms, water sauteing them without the oil step, or adding the oil. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like about it. Let me know if there's any other video requests. This is Monty Reed for Thrive Life. Have a great day.
Keep thriving, my friends.